Hey, this is Jim with Harvest Harmonics, and welcome to the Profitable Farmer. In today's episode, I remember, when I was a little kid, I used to watch these cartoons, and there'd always be some evil character, right? Who was always like, "I'm gonna take over the world. I'm gonna rule the world," and I'm gonna take over the world for all my evil, right? And I thought, and I'm thinking to myself, whoever ever had aspirations of ruling the world never tried to run the world because it's one thing to take over the world, it's another thing to try to run it and manage all the different things that people have to manage. I mean, I say that just because, even today I had meetings with, I think, four different countries and, five different farms, some small, some large, some major organizations, some universities. I mean, sometimes when I get home at night, I just think to myself, God, I feel like I'm like, what time zone am I in? Where am I at? What country am I in? What language am I speaking? It's been kind of a very interesting adventure here at Harvest Harmonics because we are literally launching a product worldwide, and we're doing this one farm at a time. We're doing this by talking to farmers, by asking them what problems they're running into, by asking them what they're trying to accomplish, what their goals are, what they need and want from a product like ours. And at the end of the day, we're not trying to rule anything. We're trying to help. We're trying to make our mark just by moving that bar, the world we live in, just a little bit nicer and make it a little bit better than where we started. And in fact, we have a big delivery here where we literally just got an order for, like, I think, a couple $100,000, and it's like now we have to restock all of our pipes and all this stuff. So we got all this stuff coming in and out. It's been crazy. But all that aside, at the end of the day, the question I get most often, besides, like, what is your technology and how does it work? The the thing that I get the most often is, how is your product going to help me become more profitable, right? How are you able to increase profit? And I brought up this point before. Most farming solutions, most vendors of farming, and most research for that matter in the universities, they're all really designed to focus in on and hyper focus on one specific area, right? And I think that there's a good reason for that, and that's not necessarily a bad approach. But it's kind of like, if you have something complex like a living organism, even a plant, which is less complex than a human organism, right? A plant still has millions of cells that make up a given plant. I mean, just take a look at a lettuce plant. Within a small head of lettuce in a field, you're talking about millions of cells that make up that one head of lettuce, right? And so, even something that complex, and then you get into trees and other types of plants that are much, much more complex and much more intricate in terms of its how the biology works and how they interact with the soil and how they communicate with other plants in their environment, and all these different factors that go into making healthy, productive plants. And research and products that are designed to solve one problem, right? So let's take a look at an insecticide, right? The whole purpose of an insecticide is you spray it on the crops and it kills insects, right? So that the insects don't eat away all of your produce, right? Take a look at a fungicide. It kills a fungus or a mold or something that would normally eat away at the fruit, which would reduce your production, right? You have weeds, so you have herbicides that kill weeds, the undesirable plants that are in your farm, right? So you have all these different things that are designed to handle these specific small areas in the whole context of it. But how many vendors out there, even big chemical companies, how many vendors out there are really focused on increasing or improving the entire metabolism of plant as a system? That's the interesting thing. That's really why when you've looked at our presentations, you see 20%, 30%, 35%, 40%, 25%, 70%. You see all these huge numbers, and a lot of times the first reaction from farmers and from most people is, there's no way, that's impossible. I mean, most inputs you're only going to get 4%, 5%, 3%. So these guys must be snake oil salesmen, right? They must be charlatans. They must be lying. They must be overly promoting, etc. But the real reason why our system is so profitable and is able to make such a huge increase in production and also improvements in quality also, is because we've really looked at the entire system of a plant's biology, and we've basically, we're enhancing the entire system as an entire whole, right? So we're not interested in increasing nitrogen absorption as only that little piece of the puzzle, because What happens when you increase just nitrogen absorption and that's the only thing that you do? Or what happens in case of a fertilizer where you just add more nitrogen to the soil? Well, you increase the concentration of nitrogen in the soil and you're hoping that that plant can then uh, absorb that water or the soil and the nitrogen on the soil more efficiently so that the concentration of nitrogen is increased, and that's going to force the plant to sort of absorb that nutrient, that nitrogen. And of course, because plants need nitrogen, and that's a big macronutrient, of course, the idea is it's going to increase production, it's going to improve quality, it's going to do all these things. And to a certain degree, of course, it does. You do nobody's going to argue that nitrogen-based fertilizers are not effective in terms of increasing yield. And if you don't believe that, just try not fertilizing for a year and just seeing where you get. I mean, it's not an easy thing. Um, so it's not that nitrogen fertilizer doesn't work. It's just that there's a certain limitation to where you're going to get the maximum benefit, and then adding more nitrogen is not going to do you any good, right? And so that's one thing. You can improve nitrogen. So then you say, well, okay, NPK. Let's expand that to nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, the three biggest, most important nutrients, right? And so you add NPK to your soil, right? And then it's like, well, now you seem to be having insect problems or you have weed growth or these other problems. Why? Because all you've done is saturate that soil with things that plants of any type are going to be benefit from. So of course you get weed growth too, and that's going to be huge. So um, it's not just a matter of adding something to the soil because you solve one problem when you try to solve it one problem, one little piece of the puzzle. What happens is you solve that problem and then you get other problems. So when you add too much nitrogen, you get you can get damage actually to the plants, but you can get weed growth, right? Or maybe there's too much nitrogen can actually cause a nutrient imbalance and a toxicity for the plant. So then you end up killing the plants instead of feeding them, right? Or too much of one thing is not enough. Or as a case right now in 2022, those fertilizers get really expensive and your input cost gets jacked up artificially because of supply chain and other problems. And now you're looking at your input cost just doubled, right? So now what do you do? Because your price selling to the market isn't necessarily doubling, but your cost just doubled. So now what do you do? Well, now you're running into a situation where you have to find other solutions. And some farmers are just saying, hey, I can't do this anymore. It's not profitable for me to do this. I had a couple farms tell me they're not even farming this year. They're not even going to fertilize. They're just going to let their trees go and then hope that the situation turns around for next year. Which, I mean, can you imagine that? Can you imagine having your livelihood just essentially taken away from you because you just can't make a living? And that's kind of what farmers are facing right now. So the Cumulative plant booster system is born of the idea that if you really want to improve the situation, all the little problems that go into farming and creating a good crop, then you have to look at the entire thing as a complete system. You have to look at all those elements together and how they interact with each other. You can't just look at one or two or three different elements of that puzzle. You have to look at the whole puzzle together and figure out how does that puzzle fit together? How do these little pieces of nitrogen absorption and water retention in the soil and microbial activity and sunlight availability and weather fluctuations and mold, and how do all these little pieces fit together into a complete system? The Cumin Plant Booster System is a radio wave stimulation program. So it actually utilizes series of radio waves that are essentially designed to retune or refocus or recalibrate the plant's metabolism so that it can make the most use and the best use of all the resources available to it, with sunlight, water, nutrients, and the like. And it can actually make the plant super healthy. And it also improves microbial activity in the soil, water retention characteristics in the soil, and other factors in the soil to make the soil healthy as well. We've looked at the whole system and not just one piece because soil science is an incredibly important thing. And of course, if we can really improve the soil quality, you're going to get fertility, but you're also going to get carbon sequestration and nitrogen sequestration and reduction of greenhouse gases and all these environmental benefits, right? But you're also going to see improvements in the plant's ability to absorb and utilize those nutrients so that there's no imbalances. So you don't have to keep dumping tons and tons and tons of nitrogen literally on your farm to see improvements in yield and improvements in quality, because the plants, if they're healthy, they have their own metabolism that can actually handle the nutrients and make the most use of what you have. Then when you add your fertility program in, you'll find that maybe you don't need as much chemicals, or you don't need as much nitrogen, or you don't need as much fertilizers as you normally would. And of course, the Cumin plant booster, keeping that plant efficient, is going to allow the plant to utilize what you're giving it, but it should reduce your overall input costs as well. So if you can reduce your input costs and reduce how much fertilizer and pesticides you use, and you can increase yield and improve quality of yield at the same time, you really have a next level type of innovation. And that's really what the Cumin plant booster is all about. It's a next level innovation. It's not just, hey, we have a fertilizer that's a little bit better than the fertilizer you're using, or we have a pesticide that's a little bit better than the pesticide you're using. We're talking about a complete evolution to the next level of farming. And if you really think about it, technology has influenced our lives in an amazing ways. I mean, the way we communicate now with cell phones and the internet and everything is completely changed in the last 20 years. The way doctors do medicine has completely changed in the last 20 years. I mean, we have doctors essentially doing heart surgery without even being in the same room. I mean, they can be all the way across the country, and through the use of robotics and cameras and everything else, they're actually performing heart surgery in another location. I mean, that's actually happening right now. That's not some weird science fiction thing. That's actually happening right now. So medical science has taken giant leaps forward through technology. And, virtually every aspect of our lives has been impacted by technology, and we don't look at doing the things the way we did 20 years ago. I mean, 20 years ago, when the internet was still brand new, we used to go to the library and flip through those little card things to figure out to find a book if we wanted to learn about a subject. Now, any random thought, hey, I wonder what this is, you literally just say, hey Google, what's this, and you have an instantaneous access to information. I mean, technology has dramatically improved virtually every areas of our life. So why is it that technology has not dramatically increased agriculture? Well, the main answer to that question is simply that technology has definitely made improvements in terms of the way we farm and the way we do things, but it really has taken a different idea and a different approach, a different mentality to look at the entire problem of improving production and improving quality and reducing input cost as a complete system. And when you can look at the global aspect and the entire system of the plant in its ecosystem and all the factors involved, and you can find a solution that actually enhances the entire system simultaneously, you're not going to get 2% increases in yield. You're going to get 20% increases in yield. You're not going to see 4% increases in yield. You're going to see 40. And that's really what we've been seeing on farms all over the world right now. And I wanted to really invite you guys to take advantage of this opportunity, because in 5 years, when everybody's using it, it's just going to be another commodity situation where you're going to need this to basically survive. So don't wait until everybody else is using it and you've lost the competitive advantage. Take advantage of the system right now. And just to let you know, we have farms of all different types of sizes, from literally backyard type farms of less than an acre, all the way up to major producers. Talking the largest agricultural companies in the world have used this on several of their farms, and everywhere in between. So there's no size requirement here. You don't have to be a big farm with hundreds of acres to use this. Of course, if you are a big farm with hundreds or thousands of acres, you can definitely use this, and you don't have to start with your whole farm. You can start with a field here or a field there. At the end of the day, though, once we show you what this technology can do on your farm, and once we show you how many improvements can really be attained utilizing this advanced technology, you're going to be more profitable. And if I showed you the cost benefits like I've done in previous episodes, you're going to see that some of these farmers are making, they're spending a few $100s per acre or per hectare, but they're actually making thousands and sometimes even tens of thousands of dollars more per acre in terms of increased revenue and improved quality. So if you can invest something that might cost you a few $100s and you can get thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in return, and you have a money back guarantee so that you can't lose money at it, what are we waiting for, guys? I mean, take advantage of the situation now. We have a Beat the Bloom special going on right now in the month of February, and we've got about a week left here in February. So if you want to take advantage of this and get a good price deal as well, you can give us a call at 727-324-6750. You can call us and take advantage of our Beat the Bloom special, and you can actually get up to 30% off depending on how much you buy. So we want to work with you guys. We want to prove that we are the future of farming. We want to prove that this really is the real deal, and this is the next evolution of agriculture. And if you want to be part of that journey and you want to be part of one of the innovators that actually takes this technology to the world and helps make the world a better place, then we want to work with you. because our idea is you don't change the world by forcing people to do things they don't want to do. You change the world by creating a better solution, a better mousetrap, so to speak, and then inviting everybody to participate in it. And then over time, the better solutions will win out, and people will adopt them, and eventually you end up having the world. So I hope to include you in on our Cumin farmers here for this year. I hope you have the chance to take advantage of the Beat the Bloom special through February 28th. But give us a call or send us an email here at service@harvestharmonics.com. We'd love to work with you and help you become part of the future of farming today. To let you guys know that this technology is organic friendly. So if you're an organic farmer, we work with a number of organic guys and they produce excellent results with this. You guys can see a tremendous boost to your productivity. And if you're not an organic farmer and you would like to transition or you're interested in using less chemicals, then definitely give us a call. We want to show you how we can help you do that and help you still increase your profitability and overall market share. Hope that helps you guys today. We'll talk again soon and help us become part of the future of farming today. And we want you to become part of the future of farming today. So give us a call and let's work.